Hi, welcome to the CHARMM classroom. CHARMM is a program package for simulation and analysis of nanoscale macromolecular systems. As I mentioned in the previous video on the CHARMM Development Project, we have not developed CHARMM for Microsoft Windows, but for only Linux systems, including Mac OS X. However, Microsoft recently announced the Windows-Subsystem for Linux, which enables us to install and run CHARMM on our notebooks based on or running under Windows 10. So we are going to install CHARMM on a Windows 10 based notebook or desktop PC. These are things to do in this video. There is a free version of CHARMM available for academic community. First, we will download it from the Harvard web server. Next, we'll enable our Windows 10 notebook or PC to run Linux subsystem. We need to install Windows Subsystem for Linux, WSL. Next, we'll install Linux. There are several Linux distributions available for your own choice. Here, I will install Ubuntu. On the Ubuntu, we'll install utilities that are needed to install CHARMM. Those are gfortran, which is GNU Fortran 90 compiler, G++, GNU C++ compiler, make and CMake. Then we'll unzip, once we download the CHARMM distribution table, we'll unzip and unpack the CHARMM distribution package and install on the Ubuntu system of Windows 10. To check the CHARMM executable, we'll also run the test cases. We are visiting the official CHARMM website for academic users, academiccharmm.org. You may obtain more information on CHARMM usage here. CHARMM ending with capital M. I think that I have to really scroll down here. Okay. Capital M. Okay. Capital M like this is for non-profit research and available by writing to Professor Martin Karplus at Harvard. There is a small licensing fee for the academic version, which is at this point probably $600 US. For commercial application, you are going to purchase it from BioBeer, a Dassault system company. The CHARMM is ending CHARMM small m, ending with small m. Also, there is a free version of academic CHARMM, all small letters, available for academic community. It is the same as the full version, academic version, except the high performance code such as GPU support, domain decomposition, and parallel execution like that. So now we'll visit the CHARMM chemistry.harvard.edu website and go to the CHARMM distribution page. This is the CHARMM registration page at the chemistry department at Harvard University, and we are going to obtain little CHARMM, like all small letters CHARMM, this is free academic version. So click here to go to the registration page, and which is register here. And this is the CHARMM academic license request. So you fill out your information, title, first name, at least last name, and email address, and then your affiliation and your country, and put some description, kind of brief description about your research or intent for CHARMM usage, and then give this code and submit the request. And then you will, in the next page, you need to agree the license agreement in the following page, and wait for about a day or two. You'll receive an email message that includes the download coordinate and the passcode. Download charmm.exe file as in the instruction. Then we will install Windows Subsystem for Linux by consulting this Microsoft web page. Here you see the website, and this is Windows Subsystem for Linux installation guide for Windows 10. I will follow the manual installation step for WSL-2. There are 6 steps. Firstly, enable the Windows Subsystem for Linux by issuing this dism.exe command, and these are the options. You may copy this from the Microsoft website and paste it onto your Powershell window, or you may copy down from my comment in the YouTube website. And then check the requirement for the running WSL-2 by running window version checking program. And then enable the virtual machine feature using also dism command. And then you need to download the Linux kernel update package by the WSL store storage core system. And then I will show you or list their website or website URL down under. And then once you download the update package, install the Windows Subsystem for Linux update. Then you will set WSL-2 as your default version, which will be done by this WSL command, set default version 2. And when everything is done as planned in this 6th step, the 6th step is installing Ubuntu. Now I'm going to demonstrate how it goes. First, I will open Windows PowerShell with the administrator privilege. And click this. Open the PowerShell with the administrator privilege. Then the first step is to run dism exec to enable the Windows Subsystem for Linux. The command is here, but here as it is here, the step 1, I'll copy it from the Microsoft website and then we'll paste it here. And then return, and then it does it does enabling the Windows subsystem. And it is done. Now it's time to check the Windows version of my notebook. So I'm going to run, I think I can run it on the PowerShell window version, WinVer. And then it shows me that it is version 20H2 and OS build is 19042. So it should be Windows version 1903 or higher, and with the build of 18362 and higher for Intel 64-bit CPUs. These are the requirements for Windows subsystem for Linux 2. So mine fulfills that condition requirement, so I may install WSL-2. Otherwise, we'll have to use Windows Subsystem for Linux 1 instead, and then install Ubuntu. Okay, now we go to the third step, which is another dism command that enable the virtual machine feature. And the command is I may copy down from the Windows website. Okay, here you go. So step 3, I copy this and then we'll move it to the PowerShell and issue the command. So it is enabling the feature, virtual machine feature, which is done quickly. And then it's the third step. I need to download from the website of the WSL-2 Linux kernel update. And this is here, and I just click it. Which what I mean is that's here. This one, so that I need to click, and then it will download here just like this. Once it's downloaded, then you need to execute it. So I'm going to erase my thing, then get it is done already. Then let me just double click, then it is doing, wow, it's okay. I finished it, so it is done. And then next step, the fourth step is to, actually that was the fourth step. And then next step is setting the default as WSL-2, and the command, which is very simple command, but I just want to copy it. I just copied it and paste it here. Then it is done. So now I have finished finished installing WSL-2 on my system and made it default. Now I'm ready to install Ubuntu system, and then I'm going to get it from the Microsoft Store. So I say the store, then Microsoft Store is here. And then I'll search for Ubuntu, just like this. And then it will list some Ubuntu versions, or again. Yeah, so I'm going to get this canonical Ubuntu system. So click, I think I have it probably listed. I already have it. Okay, and then it says that it is there, but you would just to install from this. and then you will have your the Ubuntu on your Windows under your Windows PC as the virtual system. Now you have your Ubuntu under Windows 10. If you click this start button, you will see the Ubuntu as the recently added application. I made a link to my starting panel here. So I'll click this one, and then it will show you your Ubuntu terminal. So here you can work. If this is your first time, you may have to create a user for your own, and then set your password there. That password is necessary to use sudo command. So once you have your Ubuntu running, you are now ready to run CHARMM installation. I also need to comment that for some reason, if the WSL-2 installation may fail, in such case, you need to use WSL1 instead and finish the Ubuntu installation. The command is WSL set default version 1 instead of 2. We did 2 version previously. Then you need to reinstall Ubuntu. Okay, now you have your Ubuntu terminal open. And then before we go for CHARMM installation, we need to install CHARMM installation utilities. And then we can do sudo command, sudo apt get install make first. And then it will ask me the password, my password actually. And then, well, actually I did install all those required necessary CHARMM utilities, not CHARMM utilities, the utilities required to install CHARMM. Those are make, CMake, and Gfortran and G++. Those are done by this apt-get install command. So we have done CMake, CMake, Gfortran, G++ using the sudo apt-get install command. And you also need to have C shell or T shell. The default Ubuntu shell is Bone shell. So, but if the sudo apt-get install C shell, CSH, or T shell doesn't work, then you need to make your add app repository command, and then you also need to update your apt-get. And then you can install C shell or T shell or Emacs like that. Now we are ready to install CHARMM at last. So firstly, prepare the working space for CHARMM installation, usually under Home and the username, and then under probably CHARMM, something like that. And then unpack the charm.tar.gz file, the CHARMM distribution file, by using the tar command with xcvf option, and then install by this strict line command like configure, change directory, and make. And then when all goes well, you will have the executable for your Linux under Windows system. And then run test cases using the test.com script, which requires C shell or T shell. And then the option for the test.com is CMake, because you are doing CMake installation. And then the directory names. I will show the first name, because the current free CHARMM distribution is version C46B1, so I just named it, but this is your own choice for collecting your test case output files. And then if you have benchmark files, then you need to give that benchmark directory. I opened the Ubuntu Terminal, and now I'm on the C shell instead of Powershell. And then I'll show you how the CHARMM installation goes on. Firstly, let's see where we are. Okay, so oops. We are now home and one, which is my home directory. And then I'll find where the charm.gz file is downloaded. Okay, so let's see the probably mntc is the C drive. Okay, so well, I located it in my desktop actually, so it was a little bit hard to find where it was. So it is here in the desktop, and then what I'm going to do is to move it to, well, actually copy it or move it, doesn't matter, but I'm going to move it. Well, the regular Unix command, GNU command is working here. Move CHARMM to, remember the home directory, home 1, and then it will be there. And then I'll go back to my directory and see it is there. So what I'm going to do is that uncompress and then unzip xgbf, and then that CHARMM distribution file, and then it will unpack the CHARMM directory. Then it is fast actually. So it is unpacking. Yeah, it is done. It takes a little while. And then you see here I have the CHARMM, but actually the directory name itself is CHARMM. So let me name it back to CHARMM as C46B1 because I know the version number of this distribution. So that's that version. And then I switch the directory to C46B1. And then that's the current CHARMM directory, this distribution directory. And then let me, well, assuming that you're the kind of it's your first time to install CHARMM, so there are source directory. Okay, so the source directory, and then their CHARMM source is there, and all build command are collected in this build directory. Changelog contains the release notes of each version, and then also install test is the test directory, and then topa is the topology and parameter files are collected here. So what I'm going to do is I'll first to do configure. That's the first command for installation. Then I'll do configure dot will do it. So it configures when it's checking the compiler version or what's available on the system. Basically, this is academic kind of free version, so it doesn't do MPI or OpenMM, things like that. And also, I don't have those on my Linux system under Windows. It says the building CMake failed. So I think there is something goes wrong. So let me figure it out. Let's see if I have CMake. I don't have it. So first I have to install CMake and then G-Fortran and G++. I thought I already have done it. So why don't I have to do something like that? Sudo command again. Sudo apt get install CMake. It'll take a while. It asks me my password because it's a sudo command. And then, yes, I need. And then it installs CMake first. Then I'll have to install the G-Fortran and G++ too. And I will need to install G-Fortran. Again, sudo get get install G-Fortran. And then it goes. And I say yes. And also need to install sudo apt get install G++. And say yes. Okay, I have all utilities installed for CHARMM. So I'm going to do, let me check where I'm now. Okay, I'm going to do configure again. Okay, so it is going back to configure. And then now I have C++ compiler. It'll take a while. Basically what it's doing is that it is building CMake files. So then next time, next step is that I'll just issue make command to utilize that CMake files to build CHARMM. And as I mentioned, it doesn't do MPI stuff because I don't have MPI on my notebook, and also OpenMM, it doesn't do OpenMM. And by default, it did not include. Okay, it is done. CMake is done. And then it says that run in the build and CMake directory. So let me change that BULD and CMake. And then here I change the directory to CMake directory. And then here I'll just say make, and that'll compile, process and compile source files too, and then link them and then generate an executable. The name of the executable is CHARMM, CHARMM, all small cases. And then probably I'll name it as C46B1 or like that, or C46B1.exe, something like that. But anyhow, I'll just leave it as CHARMM. And then I think this version, link can make the CHARMM executable in this directory. I mean, build /CMake directory. So I'm going to make bin directory in the CHARMM distribution directory, and then place this CHARMM executable there so that test.com recognize where it is by default. Another nice feature of this CMake is that they are now displaying how much is done. It says that it's 20% is done, which is very handy because my machine is very slow. I'm currently running i5, I think that generation 4, fourth generation i5. So I used to, and previously when I checked this version, I used i7 fourth generation or sixth generation. Their compilation takes something like 12 minutes. And then running test cases something like 14 minutes. So it's not that bad, but I'm not sure how much this takes on this machine. This is very slow machine. So let me just briefly stop recording. Now it is finished. And then let's see. It doesn't say where it is, but the CHARMM is, I think, produced. The executable is produced in this directory. Let me find it by doing. There are so many files. So let me find it if there is a CHARMM. Yeah, there is a CHARMM which is executable because the color is green. And then let me go up. Yes, here. Yeah, but there is no bin directory. So let me make dir bin. Then I'm going to move where it was, build cmake CHARMM into this bin directory. Now it is in the bin directory. Let me run it. Something like in CHARMM, maybe. Yeah, it does. Okay, so it ran. The CHARMM CHARMM itself is the name of the executable here. And then you see it is the version 46b1, and which was released August 15, just about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, maybe 3 weeks ago, 2021. And then, you know, this is kind of how it works. So let me just give the title, just I, and then another thing. Then this is I finished the title, and then I'll give you just one command, stop. So it will stop. So it just run interactively as it should. Now at this point I can run test cases, because remember that I need the C# to run test case input file. And then there is a test directory. Let me go to the test directory, and then I can issue the test. Well, I think I need the test.com command, and then I made a C make kind of machine type, and then let me give C46p1 as the directory where I collect the output files of these test cases. Test cases will be run for C20 test case and then up to C46 test cases. And those are other kind of features, testing other features. So I'll just run this. And then at this point, I don't have benchmarks, so I'll just give 0. And then either I can do it at the background or just in the foreground. Just let me just do, because I'm single user, and then hit return, probably run test cases. So it will take about some minute. So let me just stop recording. We'll be back when everything is done. Well, it is keep running. Well, I'm running the test cases now, but I think I'll rather wrap this up. So congratulations. Now you have CHARMM on your desktop, and you are ready to explore the world of molecular dynamics simulation. I cordially welcome you to the CHARMM community. Thank you for watching.